Hi, my name is Cassandra Barba Garcia,
Hi, my name is Xiaohei.
and this is our tour of a sacred space, Judaism synagogue, or also known as a temple. So we visited Temple Emmanuel here in San Jose. This is the image of what it looks like from the outside. It was a night service, so this was an image at nighttime. This main entrance right here in the front leads to a banquet hall that is reserved for ceremonies such as weddings and bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. And this large wooden door over here is where the actual temple is, which is this dome-like room, and that is where we were for the Shabbat. We also did want to include an image of what the temple looks like during the day, so we found this one off of Google Maps just to show you guys. So the Shabbat started around 7, and it was led by a rabbi and a cantor. It's a little different because Shabbats are usually celebrated on Saturday, but this one does it Friday night to Saturday. And we were given a book of prayers that and songs that were in English and Hebrew. The rabbi explained the prayers to us and led the prayers, while the cantors sang a lot of the songs and led the singing. There was also a young bar mitzvah boy who had his ceremony the next day, so he also read some of the prayers for us and lit the candle at the beginning of the service. There was a Towards the end, they opened this wooden cabinet to reveal three Torahs, and they did a prayer towards them. They chanted a list of names of members from their community who needed help or healing while wrapping their arms around one another and swaying to the left and right. And then they finished off the night with wine or grape juice for the younger kids and bread. So this is a temple. Here is this dome-like shape at the top. It was very plain, white, and a lot of wood in there. And then here's the chalice that we drank the wine from and the bread that was given. Now, there was a lot of elements that stood out to us, and the first one was this stained glass window. It took up a whole wall of the temple, which you didn't see in the previous image, but I will show you. And these 12 small windows formed this image of a square structure that had vines wrapped around it and flowers at the top and a Hebrew saying as well. But since it was a night service, we didn't get to see it all bright, and even though the cantor did try to light them up, but she wasn't able to. It was very vibrant and different from stained glass windows I've seen at a Catholic church or a Christian church because they usually have patron saints or images depicting Jesus. I've even seen Jesus on a cross on one of the stained glass windows. So this was very different. The stained glass window also contrasted the rest of the room since it was very bright in comparison to the white walls and the wood paneling in the room. Even though we didn't discuss stained glass windows in our Judaism lecture, um, the Hebrew saying that was at the top of the stained glass window meant growth or light and or just to grow in general and to shine. And this isn't a part of the Torah or a part of any of their prayers, but the cantor explained that it was important to them. And we know in Judaism that Jewish people continued to see the world as good, and they grew from their pain. So it was beautiful to see that this temple included that belief in their stained glass window. So here is the window. You could see the vines going up to the top, the Hebrew saying, and some flowers, and the very bright colors like orange, yellow, and red. Second element that stood out was this wooden cabinet with three Torahs. This is called a Torah's Ark. It remained closed throughout most of the service, but towards the end they opened them up. So they really stood out because it was closed and it kind of looked a little boring. But as soon as they opened up, you can see that they were gold embellished and they have these vibrant colors, as you can see in this image over here. They have blue, purple, and yellow on them. And yeah, we know in Judaism that Moses was given the Torah through God, and he gave it to the people. And the point of a synagogue or a temple is to learn the ways of the Torah, is to teach the Torah. And even this temple had a school for kids where they taught them. And it lays out the laws and beliefs of Judaism. It makes up what a Jewish person is. Third element that stood out to us was the two menorahs. If you may have noticed in the previous slide that on both sides of the Torah ark were two menorahs. And in our lectures, we discussed menorahs when talking about Hanukkah, and that's typically what you think of when you think of Hanukkah. You think of these menorahs. But these two very large gold embroidered um, menorahs remained lit throughout the entire service, and even after when the service was over and the cantor led us back into the room, they remained lit. So they remain lit the entire day. They're meant to they're meant to symbolize God's presence. And throughout the service, you kept hearing about light or an eternal light, um, God's light or a path of light. It was a reoccurring theme, light. So it was, and they were very nice to see, and it complemented the rabbi and the cantor because there was two of them and two menorahs.
The first element is Ten Commandments stone tablet. Since we forgot to take a picture for the stone tablet, so we just put another similar example to show how it may look like. The Ten Commandments have a very important place in the Judaism. They are the first 10 provisions of the law of the God through the prophet Moses. The law of Moses is represented by the Ten Commandments. It is the original law of the Jews and also the norm of Jewish life and faith. The Ten Commandments are engraved on a stone tablet and was put at the middle of the temple. It is above the place where the people put the Torahs. Basically, the Ten Commandments stone tablet is put on the highest place of the wall. The color of the walls is gray, just like the color of the cement. The engraved Ten Commandments on the wall are simplified in Hebrew. They are not very long or very big, but the position of the stone tablet on the wall makes them very obvious. The Fifth Amendment is chuppah. Chuppah is a wedding canopy that symbolizes the home the couple will establish and under which they and family stand during the wedding ceremony. The chuppah is put in a other large room, and there is a platform at the middle of the large room. The chuppah is placed on it. It is a plain tallet with 7 the Star of David on it, 2 on each side, 1 on the top, and so the chuppah is supported by 4 poles that can either be freestanding or held by family members or friends. Originally, wedding ceremonies were held outdoors in the hope that the marriage would be blessed by as many children as the stars of the heavens. Some kind of covering was employed to create a more modest and sanctified place, separated from the marketplace.
So when I originally reached out to this temple, they told me that Friday was the best day to go because they do this program called Passport to Judaism. So it's after Shabbat, and they encourage members of their synagogue and temple to bring friends and families who aren't Jewish or of Jewish descent to learn about what being Jewish is and what Judaism is. So there was about 16 booths set up, explaining many of their different holidays and traditions. And since we weren't able to take pictures during the Shabbat service because it's a sacred time, they did allow us to take some pictures during the Passport to Judaism. So we wanted to include some of them. So this was the booth for Passover and included a Seder plate, a Haggadah, which is the story of Passover. They included some books and food. Here's one for Hanukkah where they included a dreidel, and they also included these little potato cakes on the side. And then a Sukkot, which is when you build the shed to have a feast in. Overall, it was a very different experience for me growing up, going to Catholic church. This place was very different. Catholic church's ceremonies are usually very long and very serious, where here it was very lighthearted and they were all very kind, and they answered all of our questions, and they wanted to help. They wanted to spread their message. And they were just very open to us and very welcoming to us.
I like the same part most when the rabbi talked about the Torahs. It just made me really impressional and emotional. The temple is very pretty and big. It is much better and bigger than I expected first. Otherwise, people are really friendly and zealous to help us.
And that wraps up our presentation. But we want to thank you guys for listening, and it was a great experience.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.